Hello, people in the future. You watching this recording. We are in the second day of reviewing the backend, so hope you enjoy it. I don't know still what is it about, what we do, but we do something. Let me find your documents. I know I'm a little busy, so it's a lot of classes I have here, or I had. One, two. These are different stuff. 3, 4, 5. I don't know. 6. There should be more. It's a bit messy. Sorry. So, review 2.6. Let's create another folder. Oops. This is 3/06 2025. Review day 02. Yeah. Let's start with. You know what? I'm gonna take whatever we did yesterday. I'm gonna take it and put it to the new folder because I wanna anyway continue from what we had. I'm gonna copy this. Oh, what am I doing? Oh. Day2. I'm gonna paste them here. All right, city into 03, and here let's just open it. Let's get rid of all of these notes we had yesterday. We're gonna have new ones. Alright, let me prepare my notes. Okay, today is day 02 review, actually. What we're gonna do, I really don't know what we do, but this is my plan, what we do, to continue with that. We're gonna talk about middlewares. We're gonna talk about, again, REST APIs and some HTTP status codes and global error handling. All right. Did you already talk about middleware? Are you familiar with that?
I think we did, but to be honest, I don't remember what.
All right, let's talk about it.
Yes.
Thank you, Nikki.
Talked about with the new feature.
All right, thanks. So, middlewares. Middlewares are callback functions. I prepared the signature for that. So, the signature of a middleware is a function with three parameters: rec, res, next. So when I say, hey guys, let's create a middleware, you know that's a function with three parameters: rec, res, next. Okay? That's a signature for a middleware function. And a function that handles an incoming request. So this means this function can handle a request that is coming, and the request goes inside of this rec. It can handle that, it can do stuff with that, check the rec.body, check, I don't know, whatever it is, or it can pass it to another function. So the request can be checked or pass or whatever. A middleware function can send a response. So we did this already yesterday, that you could send response. So a middleware function can edit the request, which means you can manipulate the request, you can add, because the request is just a normal object. An object that inside is a bunch of information. A lot of information is coming inside. By default, for example, which browser this request is coming, I don't know, which, is it mobile, someone from mobile is doing that, and so on. There is a body of the request, a bunch of information the developer puts inside of it. You can manipulate that, you can add stuff to that object, you can remove or whatever. So that's why we say you can edit the requests. A middleware function can stop or continue the process of a request. This means when a request is coming, you can stop the request. Like the request is coming, oh, something is wrong, I don't know, I feel that error. Stop and don't let it to continue. Or you just can say, hey, continue, it's all good, go wherever you want to go. So a middleware function can control the request, either stop or continue the process of request. What was the endpoint again? I was yesterday telling endpoint. What was it?
Sorry, what did you ask, Jake?
Yesterday I was telling that the word endpoint. What was the endpoint? When I say endpoint, let's create an endpoint. What was it? All right.
It was user router.
Yeah, thank you for that. So the endpoints are these ones. So that's an endpoint. It's like a destination for a request that comes and will be done and will be answered or gets a response back. So that's an endpoint for getting all the users. That's an endpoint which is not still complete for saving a user in the database. Yeah, so we call them endpoint. Endpoints consist of the method and the route, like the URL. The method and the URL. We call them endpoints. All right. So all of our endpoint functions. The endpoint functions refers to this one. This is an endpoint function. Are you agree this is a middleware? Does it look like a middleware? What was the signature of the middleware actually? Yeah? Great. The signature of a middleware is a function with three parameters. So then we can say all of our endpoint functions are technically middleware functions too, we can say. All right. Let's say there is a request is coming to /users, so localhost blah 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 /users, let's say, and or let's make it more professional, /API/users, like this. This is a middleware then, okay? And definitely we have next in the middleware, because this is the one actually is for mostly for error handling. We use next, or we use it for processing the request or stopping the request. So this is the one that actually does this job. And we can use actually middleware for request to a specific method and path. What does that mean? This means, because we can have a lot of middlewares. For example, the name of the middleware is like a middleman, you can name it. Yeah, a middle person between something that does something. So let's say you will learn between these things, you can have another function, like a middleware function with this request next. That does, for example, let's say an imaginary one. Check admin. This function, somewhere we defined it, that's a request next. It just checks if a request is coming, if that user is an admin or not. And it's like a kind of middleware in between. All right, it's like a middleman. And this function, just the job of that is like only for this specific get request, only for that. So this means you can use it for all of the requests. All of the requests means you don't care about it's a get, it's a post, it's a delete. You can use it everywhere for all of the methods. Or no, like this way, for a specific one. This is referring to a specific method. That's only for a get method to a specific path, /API/users. If a request comes to this specific endpoint, then you run this function first. It checks, oh, who is this guy is asking for getting all the users? Is it an admin? Because sometimes you want to check, or you want to secure some doing your server that limit some stuff, because maybe sometimes you don't want to show all the users information to everyone that makes a request, hey, give me all the users. You want that only the admin that is able to do that. Yeah, this is like a middleman function or middleware. Get used to it, but imagine it as a middleman, someone that is in between to the main function, and it could be more stuff, even 2, 3 of them. In the future, you will do that, for example. We will do that. But it's just as a theory. What is a middleware? A middleware is just a function doing a specific path, a specific job. For example, this middleware, as I said, just only checks, is it admin that asks for all users or not? If it's not admin, I'm going to block this request and say, hey, you're not allowed. You're not admin. Or if it's admin, I'm going to process the request and say, okay, it's okay, you can give the response. Yeah, you can use middlewares, as I said, for a specific path or method, like this case, or for all of the requests. Let's say all the requests coming to everywhere. First, you want to check something. I don't know, whatever. We will see that. We will do a request, a middleware, simple one today. So Usually middleware functions are added for all methods at once. We do that. And as an example, so this is a middleware because this function is a middleware because it's a signature of middleware. And if you want to use it for all request methods, let's say all request that is coming, no matter the method, get, post, delete, whatever, to any path, it could be /API users, /API animals, /API, I don't know, products, to any path, doesn't matter. First, you want to run this middleware. And if you want to run this middleware for all of the requests, that's why we use app.use, not like something like get. Because get is a specific for get for a specific route. But when you say app.use, as I said yesterday, when you say app.use, the translation is for all the requests that is coming. So in the server.js, can anyone tell me, is there any already a middleware from all of this that it's telling for all the requests that is coming, do something? Which one is it?
App.use.
Yeah. Which one?
App.use. Then parenthesis express JSON. Express JSON.
Exactly. Exactly. This line, so far from here to here says, hey, for every request that is coming, I don't care which request is it. Is it for the API user? Is it get, post? I don't care. First come to me, because the request always comes from the top to bottom. Okay, the order matters. For example, if I put this here, then the request straight ahead goes there and never goes here to do this express JSON, and the request.body will be undefined. Do you remember why we used this yesterday? Who remember that? What was this line doing?
It passes the JSON data.
Exactly. Exactly. The request.body. Do you remember the body of the request was undefined when the request is coming because it was a garbage string? This thing that we were sending in the HTTP, we will repeat it today. So this thing is a garbage string. We stringify that. And because it goes to the backend with the request, the backend couldn't understand, hey, I don't know what you mean. What is it, this garbage string? And with this line, we said so. Hey, then for every request that is coming, please make sure that if there is a rec.body, if there is a data that is string, parse it back to normal object or whatever that it was. So the order matters. This means first you want to run this. So for every request that is coming, there is a kind of middleware function is running. It's a built-in middleware function already in the Express that we use. All right. So that's exactly the same. So if you want to use for all of the requests a specific middleware, that's the signature. You say app.use for everything and then your function middleware. And we have a next here. So before next, you're going to do something. Okay? Do you remember here the check admin? The check admin here is like a function that you do inside check, let's say, the admin, like, I don't know, if the email equals to admin, example admin, then that means it's admin, for example. So you have a normal if condition. If this person that is making this request is admin, then let it go. Let the request continue. How do we do this actually? So doing something means, okay, I want to do something. I want to check the admin if it's admin or not. If everything is fine, I say next. That's why the next is now like important for us after we do something, we check something or whatever, if everything is fine, then we say, okay, you can continue, go next. And the next will be the next function, this one. So next is a function that allows a request to continue or pass the request to the next endpoint. My God, I have a lot of typos. To the next endpoint or middleware. Does that make sense so far? Question. If I receive no question, I have two understanding of that. Either you are okay with everything, you understand that, so you have no question, or you don't understand and you don't want to question. That's, I don't know which one is it. I take it the one that you understand everything. Okay. So that's the next that is coming handy. And another example of use cases of a middleware, we can use it for all request to a specific path. Let's say all request could be any type of request, get, post, delete, put, whatever, to a specific path, only to the users or /API/users. Then this will be something like this. So we can say, I don't care which method it is, like we're telling it like this, for all the request that is coming, I don't care which method it is, but we say to a specific path. Then we define a path for that. If it's coming to /API. So for all the request that is coming to /API/users, I want to run this middleware first. I want to do something. I don't know. This time I want to check the password. If the password is strong or whatever. If yes, then I'm going to say, okay, you're fine, go, continue, go next. So the differences you can see, if you want for all the requests, for all the methods and for any path, you see that we don't define any path, it's just for everything. But the difference is like here, if you want for a specific path, then you have to define the specific path and all the methods for every method or every request that is coming. All right, that was just imaginary examples, so to say. Oops. And when reading, writing middleware, the order counts, as I showed you. So middlewares that was declared or used first will run first. If a middleware stops processing a request, the next middleware will not run. So far we've seen that how this works. We didn't stop the request. We said go next, everything's fine. But how to stop it, we will come to that. And yeah, when I think about we can build a middleware now, or I'm going to talk about some nodes more. Let me talk about this and then we can go to the live coding. Okay, that was just all about middlewares. what is a middleware and how we use it and what is next so far. And we're going to do that today. A bit more just theory stuff I would like to talk, and then we go to part of live coding. Let's talk about a bit of REST API. What is a REST API?
A resource?
Yeah, it's a good thing to go. A resource. Have you done that anyway? REST API, isn't it familiar to you? Because you did this a lot during this course. Okay, let's talk about it. These are the questions that if you go to an interview job, they ask you. If you don't know what is REST API, you just say, hey, come on. Don't come around here again. Relies heavily on fundamental of HTTP. So what is the HTTP? What is HTTP? What does it stand for?
Data Transfer Protocol.
Yes, thank you for that. Hypertext, blah 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 protocol. To keep it simple, it's a protocol for APIs and web APIs to make the request, passing around the information. They call it HTTP protocol, so to say. And I have a very note, like quote, so to say. It's exactly coming from the, I think, Express, I took it, the website. REST is a very thingy, but I am going to explain it. REST, or representational state transfer, is an architectural style for providing the standards between computer systems and the web, making it easier for systems to communicate with each other. REST compliant systems, often called RESTful systems, are characterized by how they are stateless and separate the concerns of client and server. To make it a bit easier, it's communication between computers, how they talk together. We call them RESTful APIs or RESTful systems. That's what you do. HTTP, like a method get, post, put. These are the RESTful APIs that two systems are talking to each other and communicate. Client and servers are independent, and in another word, if I want to explain this thing, client and servers are independent and separated. What does that mean? Who can say that? Like any example? This means, so the client means like your browser, your front end. And the server means your backend, your brain, your server, or whatever you want to call it. These are two different things. And the backend doesn't know the front end and doesn't care even. And the front end doesn't know the backend and doesn't care even. They don't know each other. The only thing that they know, it asks a question, like a request. If everything fine, sends a response or an error as a response. That's all of it. And the cycle of a request and response, it's just stateless and separate. What does that mean? This means, before I go to that, this means the server doesn't know or care about the state of the client, as we talked about it, and the client doesn't know or care about the state of the server. They don't care. Let me bring this drawing stuff. These things that I'm telling you are so important, guys. So listen carefully. If you don't know these things, you cannot code them. You need the theory thing. So the front end and the back end, they just don't know each other. And they don't care what is happening here or what is happening here. It's just stateless. It's just separate. And the only thing that is matter between these two is a request and it's a response. That's it. And every request is separate and stateless. What does that mean? This is so important. When a request is going to do something, the server checks the request and is going to do the job. It goes to an endpoint, and that endpoint is going to do whatever it's going to do, taking products, I don't know, saving a user or whatever, sends back a response. This is one cycle. And this, when it's done, when the response is done, the whole connection is gone. So it was like they didn't know each other, they don't know each other. So the only moment they have a connection together, that they talk a little bit, is the moment that the request goes, server handles that, it could take a couple of seconds, sends back a response, and then gone. That's the moment that they never knew each other at all, until the next request goes. Does that make sense what I'm saying? It's so important because you need to know, because the students at the beginning, they think the backend and frontend, they always say, how can I connect my backend to my frontend? It's a very, very wrong phrase, I can say, in my idea, because they are not connected. Your server is running somewhere in your computer on some port, your frontend is somewhere running somewhere there in your computer. They're not connected. The only thing that they are, the phrase is like that. How can they communicate? You need to know the server link, HTTP, localhost, whatever, and you need to know the endpoint, the path, to which one you want to communicate, to which endpoint. Then you need to make requests to that endpoint. That's the moment that they are connected for a couple of seconds. Request goes, response back, that's it. Make sense what I'm telling? Question? Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Sama. I see some reactions. Yeah. So, all that matters is what is included in each separate request and response. No state is assumed between requests. So, let's say a request goes and then the next request goes. There is no relation between them, no state, nothing, no relevant information. The first request that went, received a response, gone. It went to a history. Yeah? So they're not related to each other. And with REST, the things we are accessing and transferring are called resources. That was why yesterday when I was adding some notes here, I was telling retrieving resources, but in parentheses I told you some data or whatever. So the resources word, people use it. So the things that we are processing or accessing or transferring or whatever, we call it resources. It could be any kind of data. It could be user, to-do list, to-do item, post, comment, I don't know, whatever. Clients make requests to the server to get or modify data on the server. Client makes requests. So they make a request to the server and they say, hey, give me that, or update that, or delete that, or whatever. Yeah. A request consists of HTTP method, the verb method, which is put, get, post, or whatever, which defines what kind of operation to do. Okay, I've written that, I've prepared that to see as a resource, like you can read it and you understand. If you send a get request, this means you want to retrieve some specific resource or a collection of resources. So either you want to get a specific user, a specific product, or you want to get a collection of users or a collection of products. So that's what at that moment you want to use the get method for making the request. Or let's say you want to create a new resource, or in parentheses save a new resource into your database. That's the moment that you want to use the method post. All right. If you want to update a specific resource, let's say a user wants to update their email. They want to change email, they want to change password or whatever. That's the moment that you want to use the put method for that. Also the same as a patch. They have differences. No differences, just so tiny differences, but both of them the same. Doesn't matter which one you use. And I will tell you which one I use, the differences, later when we come to that, not today. And delete. When you want to use a delete method, is like you want to remove a specific resource from your database. And there is another thing you would see when you're checking in the inspect of your browser. We do that a lot in the network tab from now on. You probably run to a method is like kind of options too. You don't need it actually, what it does and so on, but it's a method behind the scene. It's just you never come to that to use it. A path to a resource. It's like this. Some people use it like this, but me, I would like always to have the API at the beginning. It's okay that you don't have it, but I have it, I have my reasons. I will explain you someday in the future. Yeah. So the path that you wanna, for example, have to some specific resources, it's like this. You want to get the users, it could be /API/user. You want to get post /API/post. Or you want to get specific user with the ID 15, that could be something like this. Or if you want to get specific pets with some specific ID, it could be something like that. So that's a path to a resource or URL. And so, as we said, a request, and yesterday we had a talk about that. A request consists of the first thing, the method, and this could be the methods, and optionally a header or headers that contain information about the request. Yesterday we had a little bit talk about that. So a request consists of also another part that's optionally, it could be there or not. Why optionally? Because most of the time in the get method, maybe we don't use a header because headers is just an object, you put some information there. They contain information about the request. One of them was application JSON. Do you remember that yesterday? What was this, the job of this doing? This is inside of a header now. What was this? Anyone remember that? This information. This little information, what is the job for that?
you ask a question?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I asked, what was this content type application, Jason, yesterday? Anyone, if remember? If you don't remember, I would like to see some reactions or a message if you don't want to talk. But you need interaction with me. Otherwise, I will just go talk to management and I just leave your class.
It's yeah, exactly. It's kind of a HTTP header that tells the server
Yeah,
the format of the data.
exactly. Thank you, Akila, and thank you, Shinedo. It tells what kind of data is being sent. Exactly. So you can put some information inside of the header of your request. So what it does, it's like the headers carrying some information. The first information that we've learned, and it's always there when you make a post request, always, content type application JSON, it's a bunch of information about the request that is coming to the server and tells the server about the body of the request, this information. It says, hey, this garbage thing that I'm sending you, it's a string, I know, but it's an object. You can parse it back. And then the server knows, oh, this string is an object, then I'm gonna parse it back with this line to a normal object. That was a specific information about the request. So, a header or headers that contain information about the request. Header or headers, they have information actually about the request. And we had another part, and it's optionally again in the request. The request has three parts: a method, a header, and a body of the request, which is containing data. It could be data about your products, it could be data about your user, email, password, or whatever. It could be anything, but it's a data that you're passing around. And it will be inside of the body. And it could be with any method. It could be with the post method. Post method can be body of the request. Put method could be, patch method could be, because you want to update something. Imagine the user wants to update their email, change their email. So in the put request, which is special for updating, we put it inside of the new email, so to say, to be replaced. We put it into the body of the request. We send it to backend. We say, hey, this is the new email. Can you replace it with the previous one, for example? Yeah. So these are the methods that they can have body of the request, so to say. Yeah. These were the consistent of a request. All right. And usually data is transmitted as JSON, as we talked about it. The data is transmitted as a JSON, like an object, but make sure the JSON is stringified first. Otherwise, error, because we cannot send a JSON that is not stringified. It first should be stringified, and then we can put it into the request of the body. Is it correct? Is stringified the spelling? I'm not sure if it's correct, but you know what I mean. Yeah, great. Thank you. It's not my mother tongue, the English, and I've learned it with movies, so don't expect me that I am good in typing. All right, I would like to talk about really, because before we go to live coding, I need also to talk about more theory stuff. Yeah, Okila. You're muted.
Sorry, my mic was off. Sorry. Jason, I wanted you to clarify a little bit on what you meant by no state. I think it's up somewhere.
Sorry, come again? What was the question?
Could you scroll a little bit up?
Okay.
Yeah, no state is assumed between requests. This is what I wanted to clarify a little bit more.
All right. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where?
Just up where you see all is just here. All that matters is what is included, and then the next is no state is assumed.
Okay, this one, yeah? And
Next one.
And then no state assumed between request. All relevant information is in the request and response. Yeah, exactly. So what does that mean? That's a very important. I told you all of these things that you understand actually this one. Yeah. So this is this one, and as I told you, people think that they have a phrase, the students and everywhere that is learning, or even I have seen the senior, they use this phrase, they say, how to connect backend to frontend. Like, it's like a wire, you connect them together and they are always connected. And they just talk, whatever. No, this is wrong. No one is connected to anybody. Okay? The reality is the request and response that is connecting them together. All right? This means your server is having a lot of endpoints. A get request to slash user, get request to slash products, a post request for registration, a post request to login, and all of these endpoints doing a job. They have a specific job to do. They have a specific path. Let's say slash API user. This is a slash API product. Let's say someone making a request to get slash products or a specific product. The moment, so about this phrase, all that matters, what is included in each separate request and response, no state is assumed between requests. Between requests means two requests. Let's say there is a request goes for getting the product, and there is another request go for getting user, and there is another request to get a specific product, let's say. These are three requests. It could be they happening at the same time. It could be happening first user and then that and that. But they are requests to your backend. The backend handling all of these requests that is coming. Yeah. This one wants users. It's gonna send back a response, let's say to give the users. This cycle, this one go and one back as a response, it's just one moment, or the moment that they are, so to say, connected or communicating. Whatever happened between them, whatever information was transmitted between them, as soon as the response goes, this is gone. It's just the connection is gone, this part. And then the next request has no clue what was this, what was transmitted between them, what they did. That's stateless. That's why we say stateless. Yeah? So it's a separate request, separate response, and when it's done, again, gone. They don't know about each other. They don't know the irrelevant information, what happened in each request, so they are separate. All right? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think I understand that, yeah.
That's great, and thank you for your question. That was a great question, actually. You know what? I have more notes that I would like really to share with you before we go to live coding, because it's good to know it. I'm not sure, maybe you will be boring. It will be boring for you.
I think it's okay. We need also to understand the part of the theory a bit.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue. Not that much, maybe 15 minutes more or something. I would like to talk about a little bit of status codes, HTTP status codes. You already, I think, had it maybe. I don't know really. But as an example, we had, for example, something here. So 200. Yeah, that's a status code. Let's talk. I imagine just you don't know it. I just want to tell you as a beginning, but I know maybe you know it already. So, good RESTful APIs. Good developer. You as a developer, especially as a backend developer, make heavy usage of HTTP codes. Oh, I have it 2 times. This means you as a developer, you really need to use, when you send a response, you need to put a good status code because your front end needs that. Your front end sometimes checks their status code. If it's not 200, this means it was not successful. You know what I mean? So it's good to know it. You don't need to memorize them, but good to know the actually, yeah, how they work. Most important HTTP status codes I have just prepared for you, those that they are like successful responses. So the request wanted something, it was successfully respond with what they wanted. A user wants to log in, server checks, everything is fine, okay, log in, response back. Yeah, these are 200. So whatever starts with 2 and XX, they are kind of successful. Like 200 is okay. 201 means created. Created means if something successfully saved into the database, something, then we can use this 201. This tells the front end, oh, I successfully saved that in the database. Yeah. Or those that they start with 3, it means redirect. Sometimes you've seen some pages, you go, it says, oh, sorry, we changed the page to something else. You will be redirected somewhere else or whatever. This is about redirects. The 301 is moved permanently, like completely doesn't exist. Or 302 found but moved temporarily for some time. Yeah, I never use this as a developer, so I don't know when to use it, but these exist there out there. And 400, it's a client error. So whatever starts with 4, you can blame actually the front end. You can blame the client. You can blame the user. Say, hey, it's your fault. This is your fault. Whatever happened, it's not the server problem. For example, let's say you're going to use 400 as a bad request, like this one. Who can say it's a bad or not? And why it's bad?
I got an error 404.
It's not 404, it's 400 actually. So you as a developer, you put this as a response. You say the status is 400, it's a bad request. Hey, because you gave me the front end. We're telling it's the front end, the request that came. You gave me this, that's a bad request. So error. But why this could be bad request? Who can say that? You just look at this. Kittens. Stream.
Because of the ID value.
Sorry?
Like I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm saying that because of the value of the ID, like it's a string and then there's a number.
Yeah, it could be, but this one, numbers, it's okay not to stringify them. Or the booleans, it's okay not to stringify them. Yeah, it's okay. But look at the kittens. It's not a stringified like ID. Yeah, that's why when you make a request and it's not a stringified, boom, error. And it's not about the fault of your server. Your server checks that, oh, it's not a stringified. What the fuck are you doing? You know, it's just go back. It's an error. Sorry for my words. And 401 is like unauthorized. If you want to use something, let's say a user makes a request to get its favorite products, and the request comes and you say, oh, who are you? I don't know you. You're not logged in. You have to log in first. This is like kind of, you're not allowed. You have to, like, not authorized. Then you can use this one. Or let's say someone making a request, it's not admin, and you want to block that. You want to say, hey, you're not admin. You're not allowed. Then this is a good status code to send. All right. Or forbidden, 403. It's the same almost that you can say you're not allowed to do something. Yeah, both of them could be used. And as you said, who was that? 404. Everybody knows that. When something is not found, you can send 404. Hey, not found. And there is another funny thing you will find out. It's when you do this, it means I am a teapot. Yeah. And then there are, oops, where did you go? There are the status code that starts with 5. Then this means it's a server error. An error happened in the server and the client has no problem. Like, you don't want to blame client. If you want to blame client or the front end, that's it starts with 4. But if you want to say, no, the error happened in the server, something is wrong in the server, then it starts with 500, with 5. And usually it's 500. It's internal server error, something went wrong, processing the request or whatever. So, sometimes you've seen, you visit a website and says something went wrong, try later. These things coming from the server actually. All right? So I'm gonna put this as this link as a resource. This is talking about these status codes. Yes, Mickey.
How do we understand if client problem or server, who decides that?
You decide as a developer actually.
And how do I know?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky at the beginning. That's how do you know it's your problem, like it's a server problem or client problem. When we do this, you will learn it actually, how you know it. Yeah, so by practice, it's so easy. This part, believe, trust me, this part you just get it so fast. Yeah, because most of the time I can say it's the problem from the client most of the time. All right, it's so rare that something happens, something here. And yeah, that was about status codes, and I would like to talk about a little bit of endpoints. So when I say endpoints, I'm talking about a method and a path, something like this. So your endpoints, because when you develop, you will have a lot of endpoints. It could be a get method with a /users or API /users, you know what I mean. It could be for getting all the users. You will have another endpoint in the future or today about this, a post method to the /users, then it's for creating a new user to the database. Or what if you want to get a specific user, that how you define that? That's a get request to get a specific user to /users /specific ID related to that user. Then you can get a specific user. Or what if you want to update a specific user? Then that's how you need to structure your endpoint. Or what if you want to delete a user? Then it says /users specific ID, which is referring to that user, and it deletes the user. All right, these things are there. I would like to have a I would like to have, if there is a time, I don't know if we have time, I would like to do this today. That we create an endpoint for getting pets, all the pets, an endpoint for getting all, for saving a pet, for a specific pet, or deleting a specific pet. All right, that's all for today, the notes, and that's live code. And before we do a live coding, any question? All right, great. Let's continue. I'm gonna continue from where we left off first before we go to this part. User router. So we were. Let's test it as a review. I want to get all the users that I have. For now, I have nothing. So it means I need to make a GET request to this route. This route is, I defined it in my server.js. Let me put it here. In my server.js, this route refers to localhost 777, which is my base URL for my backend running there, and then /API/users. Then the request comes inside of this file and comes here. And then it looks for the specific method. Which method? It's a get method, then it goes here. The request goes there and finds all the users and sends back. And we send a status code of 200 because no error happened. We could make the request and everything was successful and then done. And always we want to make sure that we use from now on, get used to it, try and catch. Because always you want to try something. If something goes wrong, you want to catch it. So this thing, we put it here. So we're going to try all of this. If something goes wrong, we're going to catch that. I'm going to come to this part a bit later, how to catch an error. For now, let's just leave it empty. All right, let's make the request now to test it. I'm going to make the request. It's a GET request to this endpoint. Bang. Oh, what's wrong? Why I can't make the request? Because my backend is not running. Let's npm start. All right, database is connected, server is running, everything is set up. Let's make the request to test it. Great. The status code 200, okay. Receiving an empty array. All right. And we were creating a post endpoint for creating a new resource. In this case, the resource is a user. When a post request coming to this address or path, this function is running. The only thing that it does, it's console logging the body of the request. The body of the request is this one that we are sending. I'm gonna test it. Bang. Very nice. We have access to that. And it's working. But I want you to check this on your, if you are doing this the same on your side, your Visual Studio is waiting after this request. Is it the same on your side? Isam says yes, Shineru says yes. Why? Can you guess why? Look, if I wanna save my file, it gives me an error now because restart says socket hang up. It's like, oh, this you made a request, but still I'm waiting. I'm gonna try it again. So the waiting is gone. I'm gonna make the request again to this endpoint. Look at that. Bang. Yeah, I have the console log, but can you guess what is this waiting still? Mickey says, thinking. I can say this is thinking, this emoji.
Yeah, it's thinking and confused at the same time.
Yeah.
Because yesterday it was working. Did we do something else?
No, yesterday also was waiting, but I didn't mention that. Yeah, for that endpoint is working. Look at that endpoint. I'm gonna save that it goes away. And this endpoint, look at that. I'm gonna make the request. Bang. First says waiting, and it took 113 milliseconds that we received the response and the request to be handled. Yeah, but this one, waiting forever. Maybe the server is not sending a response. Shinadu, that's it. We've learned that if a request goes, there should be a response. It's waiting for a response. And look at our endpoint. Our endpoint, or our middleware for function, or our controller, so to say, it's not sending any response. It's just console logging the rec.body. Okay. The response like this is never sent it. All right, that's why you get this waiting and waiting till ever. So it was just a console logging rec body that we see. Then let's do the job now. We want to get the rec.body, which is this one, and you can see that it's already parsed back. It's not anymore a string. You can see that when we were sending that, it was a string, and it's not anymore a string. It's because the middleware in the server.js, we talked about it. For every request that is coming, please, if there is a rec.body data inside, just parse it back to normal data. Returns middleware that only parses JSON and only looks at the request where the content type header matches. So the content type header says, hey, that's a JSON. Then this middleware knows, oh, a request is coming, that there is a content inside. It's a stringified, but I know I need to pass it back to JSON, and we see it like this. Fantastic. So this means the request first goes through this middleware, parse back the rec.body, and says next. Behind the scene says, now you are allowed to go. Then after parsing back, it comes here, goes to your, so to say, endpoint, finds your endpoint, which is the post request, and console logging the rec.body. This is the procedure happening behind the scene. And now we have the rec.body in our hand. We want to save it to the database. So I'm going to say const new user. It's a new user or whatever. I want to save it to the database. Do you remember yesterday I said we need a tool to communicate with the database? That tool is like getting something from database, saving something, deleting something. What was that tool that we created?
Model or
yes.
schema?
Model, exactly. Model. Like here we are using also model to get all the users. That's the same thing. The user model. Dot. So there is a function or method inside of the user model which is responsible for saving it into the database. Maybe you know it already, but this is the one. Create. It creates a new document or documents in your database. So this create is a function, and you can put inside whatever you want to save in the database. What we want to save? We want to save this object. This is about the user. So this means I'm going to pass rec.body. So let me hover on this. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah. You can see the user model and what does it return? Create. The create method, what does it return?
Promise.
And when we have a promise returning, what should we do?
Try and catch.
Try and catch is always there anyway, even without the promise, because it's a good thing and we have to use it. I'm gonna try all of these. Let me bring this inside of the try. And then we're gonna catch the error a bit later. Let me for now console log the error that we see if any error happens. Console log error dot message, because inside of any error there is a message. Promise. When you have a promise, what would you do? Promise or queries? Sorry? Exactly. Async await. That's it. To be more beautiful. So this line, if everything is fine, if this line talks to your database, it goes to your database and says, hey, save this user in the database. And if the database successfully saves that, because sometimes database says, oh no, something is wrong, it's not like a schema you said, we're going to test that now. I'm going to throw you error. All right. So whatever happens, either we catch the error and console log it for now, or if it's successfully saved, we need to send a response, which means we're going to say after this line, we say rest dot. The first thing that you want to add, it's a status code. And today we've learned that if something successfully is created in the database, we can use 201. We can use 200 if you want, but yeah, make it professional. Always creating something in database successfully, use 201. So this means 201 status dot. And we want to send, usually what you send is this one, because this is returning the user that was saved into the database with one thing added to that, an ID. We want to send this to the front end, and we want to send this to the front end, which is new user. All right. Unexpected token and curly braces. Where I have these curly braces, it's coming from line 32. Oh, I don't know, what is it? All right, let's test that. Before testing, I would like that again have a review on the schema. Our schema is expecting, like our database, expecting two things if you want to be saved into the database: a username and a password. And we said they should be required. Required, this means it shouldn't be empty. If it's empty, one of them, error, it doesn't save it. Or the username must be unique. If two users has the same username, it should throw us error. All right, let's test these things. So for now, we have a username, we have a password, they are not empty, everything is fine. I think they should be, without any problem, saved to the database, and we should receive a response back. And then you won't see any more this hanging around waiting. Let's see. Bang. Oh, not found. That's a good thing. Someone help me to solve this. I made a request. I get some response as a HTML, and then it says 404 not found. Why?
Contact type is text HTML, but we have JSON or no?
That's the request defining this one. That's a JSON, but that's the response that we get and has nothing to do with this. Yeah, the request went but it was like the request went and to the backend and said, oh, where should I go? Like, doesn't find an endpoint, so to say. It doesn't find a specific endpoint that you said, go to that endpoint, go to the /users/API, and the method should be post. It didn't find it. And it was like, okay, then error, I should go back. Something like that. Yeah, it couldn't find what you wanted to do. And it's on my side. I don't know if it's on your side the same or not. Maybe I have a typo. Let me check. Because I'm sending a request to the post and /API, localhost 77 API users. This should go to this part. And, oh, what is this that I have? Where is my function? I don't have the function, and what happened to this? You know what I mean? Let me control Z. What did I do? I deleted that. I don't know what happened. That it was deleted. Okay, it's back now. It was like this. Look at that. I don't have any endpoint now. That was why, like, the request was coming. Oh, there is no such endpoint. You said it's a post request to /API/. There's nothing. That was why 404. The request goes back just. And if you receive such thing, that exactly couldn't find the endpoint. Let me control Z to bring it back. I don't know what happened. Mistakenly, what I did. So let me. So this parentheses come here. This is try. This is catch. Everything's fine. Yeah. So let me send the request, send the response res dot 200 dot status 201 dot send to new user. All right. That should work now. Now we have our endpoint set up successfully. Let me try again. Bang! Fantastic. The response to us is 201, which means created successfully. And this is the response we receive from the backend. We have a username, we have a password, and an ID, a unique ID is added to that. We will talk about this object ID in the future more, but that's a unique ID that added to that user. And that's about versioning. Versioning means, like, if you update a user, this versioning changed to like 0.1, 0.2, like different version of this user, so to say. It doesn't matter, this thing. The only thing that matters is that an ID is added to that. All right, we have one user in our database. What if now I try to get all the users now? So it shouldn't be empty now. So try to get the users. Fantastic. It gives me an array of the users, and one user is inside already. Does it work for you? This one says, yeah. How about others? Before we go to break. Okay. Let's have a break. Let's be back in 15 minutes. Let's be back at 47.